let's try understanding the object type with TypeScript. So generally, just to store the name, we use the string. To store the number, we are using a number data type, and then true, false for the boolean. But what if we want to store the data all combined together? Something like in, for example, employee data. So we need something called as an object here. It is similar kind of thing that you might have seen with any other scripting or the programming language with respect to the object oriented, but it has some pros and cons with respect to that. We'll just see how a basic object will be created and how the values inside that object are initialized and the use. So let me just create a basic object here. So I'll say the object name is employee, and I'll directly start assigning values to it. And these particular curly bracket open and close are indicating it's an object. If I'm just mentioning here 10, it's a number 10 literal, it's a number. If I'm mentioning a curly bracket open and close like this, it is indicating it's an object. Right now, it's an empty object, and that's also perfectly allowed. Fine. So let me just enter the name of the employee here. So let me mention EMP name here, and the name of the employee I want to give in this way. Okay. In which company this employee belongs, I also want to give that information. So I'm going to mention company name. So ABC. Fine. So here is an object which is having an employee information with its name and the company. After that, one more info I'll give. Let's say, for example, salary. I'll just mention a quick number over here. That's it. So we are having a number and the two string all combined together inside this particular object. Now let's try to quickly console this employee object, and let's see how the object is also visible in our console. Yep, we are able to see the object very well here, the company name, employee name, and the salary here. Now let's try to play around and just try to get the employee name out of this particular object. So if I just say, okay, fine, I'm able to get the employee name out of it, and now I should just get the name of the employee out over here in this particular console now. Yes, we are able to get it. It means we can access one by one, all the values over here. Now it's very interesting to see what is the data type it is being used implicitly. Right now, why I'm saying the data type for this particular employee object is implicit, because we are not explicitly mentioning the data type. Let's again revise the implicit and explicit data type assignment. So we have seen something kind of this previously. So implicitly, the TypeScript compiler is doing a number data type. It is implicitly assigning here. So what implicitly the data type is being assigned for this particular employee object? So I'll just pause for a minute and you can just think on it. What implicit data type is being assigned? Okay, so let's try to hover your cursor here and see. So the TypeScript is implicitly assigning a data type here, which is an object type, in which it is mentioning there is an employee name, there is a company name, there is a salary, and this is what the implicit object type TypeScript is applying. And it is exactly similar to this one. Let me just quickly create it. It's all case sensitive. So there is an employee name of string. There is a company name of string. There is a salary with a number. So we have an object, something called employee, which is of this object type, in which we should compulsory have an employee name, compulsory have a company name, and a compulsory have a salary. And this is the value inside which we are adding. It's now all similar to this we have previously done. This is your object. This is your data type. This is your value. It is just in terms of the object, it might look a little bit bigger, but the syntax is remaining same. So let's try to do in some bit different manner. So, okay, here only the, what we can say, the declaration part we are doing here, and let's say a equals to 10 here. This we can do, of course, right? So let's try to do the same over here as well. So I don't want to do this initialization here itself. Later I want to make it in this way. Sounds good? It's also here only the declaration part, and here then we are doing an initialization. It is exactly similar to this. Now also let's try to play around it. Now instead of giving a number, let's try to give a string here, ABC. So whatever the data type is present already, we are not giving the same data over here in the initialization or maybe in the value assignment. We are giving some different data type. It is started complaining. I need a number, you are giving me a string. So let's try to do the same thing over here. So it is expecting an object. Let's try to give a normal string here. So you can also see it is also started complaining. I need employee name, company name, and the salary as an object, but you are giving me just a string. So if you just read out these errors, it will be super simple and clear what errors we are getting here. So it is simply saying that I need a complete object in which I need the employee name and everything, these details. So let's try to play around and do some spell mistake here. Let's say I'm just making here employee name 1. So again, here we are getting a compilation error here. It is saying that if you just hover the cursor, we need exactly the employee name. We are missing with here something called N1, and it is also very clearly mentioning here this is what I am expecting, and the one that we are sending here is this one. Correct. So if you just read out the exam, the error message here, it will be super simple and clear what errors you are getting here. So, of course, I hope you have understood how the implicit and the explicit data types are already being assigned for the object type, how simple to write the objects in the TypeScript, and how to access a specific values out of a particular object. Let me just comment out these example so that when you'll download this code, you will understand in more detail, and let me simplify it in more good fashion here. Okay, fine. So we'll see the more detailed objects and nested object and just playing around a few more variations with an object in the next lecture. Let's try to play around an object with more details now and with more and options. So we already having an object called employee here. So I just want to change the company name for this particular employee. So how will I be doing that? So employee dot company name, it's ABC. I want to make it XYZ. Yes, of course, I can change that by by using the object name and then a particular property name inside that we can do. So, but I want to restrict these values not to be changed. So what I can do here, let's say the employee name I want, once it's initialized, it should not be changed. So we can make it read only. And now if I just try to change employee dot name from Navin to Navin R here. So it's not allowing me. It's simply saying that it's a read-only field. You can't change it. So we can make some read-only fields inside our object. Okay, fine. Let's try to understand the next option. That's an optional one. So we want to give information for this particular salary, for example. So salary we have provided. So if I'm not giving the salary information, the object will immediately start complaining. So salary is a compulsory field. You can't skip it and all those. So if I just make a question mark here, so it will solve my problem. So it's my choice now. Either I can give the salary information or I can't. I can leave it. So this question mark is making it as an optional one. So I can also remove the salary here now. Let's try to understand one more interesting thing, that is the nested object. So where we can write an object inside an object. So I'll just try removing this particular information now over here just to make this code simple. Okay. So I want to include the address information for the employee. So when it comes to the address, there will be city, there will be country, there will be an address, a few things will be there. So of course it can't fix in a one line. We need again one more object to store the address information. So how we'll do that? So I'm mentioning here address again as an object. Inside that, I want a city. And the city is, for example, Mumbai. Again, inside which area? So BKC. Again, which country? Getting. So we are mentioning an object inside another object. This is what a nested object. And if you now closely look at the data type, the object type that is implicitly being assigned by the TypeScript here, by hovering the cursor on the employee object, you can see how the data type is getting created. It's super simple. It's an employee, string, company name, string, address, and it's giving the a city area as a country, the object inside an object. So hope it's clear now how to create an object inside an object. And we have also seen the read-only part and we have also seen the optional part. Now in the next lecture, we'll also see how we can create a function inside an object for certain functionalities. We have seen till now how to create an object and how to make it nested as well and few more functionalities. Now let's try to build a functionality inside an object where an object can perform certain operations we can say, because right now our object is just holding the data we can say. So how we can create a function inside that which can perform certain operation. So let's say I want to create a function over here. I want to create a method inside this particular object, something called a display, and when I call it, it should elaborate me what exactly this object is all about. Let's consider it's an employee object, so it's holding a name, company name, and address. So it's also going to have a display function here, which will elaborate us about this particular employee. So the job of that particular function is to elaborate the employee. So let's quickly create that. It's similar like I'm going to create a display here, but now it's not as a uh, the normal we are using this display as a function here. So how we can do that? So generally we mention it something like a string or a number, whatever it could be. We mentioned and we gave some data to it, right? So now I'm going to mention here, it's not a normal one, it's a function. It's a function which don't accept any input, and it's a body of that function. You can clearly observe there is no syntax error is coming. This is, we have very clearly mentioned the name of the function, and this is a function which don't accept any parameters, and this is the body of that function. This function not even written anything. And here I'm just going to console log as hi from display. Just to confirm, we are able to call that. And now if I want to call this particular display functionality, I just need to say employee, I want to call your display function. Perfect. Let's see the outcome. Yes, hi from the display. So now let's try to play around and this particular function, and we want to create the function in such a way that it should elaborate the employee. What's the name of the employee, where he works, and from which particular country he is. We want to elaborate that. So of course, in this particular function, we should have an access for these data. And that, of course, we are inside the same object, so we can make use of this keyword that you might have seen in any other scripting language or the programming language. So I'm going to mention, hi, my name is, okay, so the name we are going to take in this way, this dot employee name. What is this? This, it is indicating this particular object. So I'm going to take out the name here. So let's try to compile and see. Yes, it's showing, hi, my name is Navin, and we want to print more information. So we also want to say like, okay, fine, your name is Navin, and I work at the company name, and I'm from address dot country. So let's quickly understand how exactly we are just writing a simple uh, script here. So where we are just saying, hi, my name is this dot employee name, where we are want to get this particular name. Then we are also getting the employee company name here, and we are also trying to get this particular country here. And now let's try to see the output. So hi, my name is Navin. I work at ABC and I am from India. So this is how we are writing a function which is describing this particular employee. So with this, we understood we can write the functions inside an object to perform certain operations. Hope it's clear. I'm going to attach the same code inside the resources from where you can download if you're stuck somewhere and complete this assignment. Creating an array is super simple with a TypeScript. Let's try to create a simple array here. So I'll just say numbers, and I just want to say here 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's apply the print here. So here is the array we are creating. This is an array of an integer. Right now, the type that is being assigned for this particular number variable is implicit or the explicit by the compiler that you should be getting now. It's an implicit one because we are not explicitly mentioning. If you just hover your cursor here, you can understand the TypeScript is automatically selecting number of array here. And even we can also mention in this way. Perfect. Okay, sure. Let's try to quickly console it so that we can perform a set of operations on this. Yes, we are able to get an array which is of length 4 here. Uh, Whenever we are creating an array here, so in TypeScript, array is a special type in all it treats it something like an object, and it also have some certain inbuilt functionalities on that. Like we can add some data to that, we can remove some data, we can find a particular data, we can traverse on that particular array. So many things are available. And you can also make it something like a read only, or we can say and other fields. Let's say, for example, uh, I want to include here one more number in this, and I'll say push 5. So let's see the outcome. Yes, we are able to get that 5. So once you have created an array, let's say you don't want to change it. So what you need to make it, you just need to make it add read only. So if you do that read only, it's giving me an error here. Let's confirm what I'm missing here. Uh, okay, let me figure out what I can do with the read only. I guess something I'm missing, or maybe the read only is not supportable in the TypeScript version that I'm using it. We'll try to go with that in a moment. Let's also try to explore the other functionalities with numbers with array object TypeScript providing. So if you just click on dot here, it is also giving us concat and the copy within, after that filter and many more functionalities. So we'll try applying few of the functionalities here. For example, I want to filter all the numbers out of it which are greater than 2. So how we'll do that? So let updated numbers array, and here I'll say numbers, I want to apply a filter on you. So on each and every number, if this number is greater than 2, I want to filter it. That's it. So now what we should get inside this particular updated numbers, 3 and 4. So if you just console it, let's see the output, 3 and 4. So these are the inbuilt functions that the TypeScript is providing you. Apart from this, there are many others as well. This is just for the filter one. Let's try to apply others as well. Let updated numbers. So what are the numbers we are having? Let's say I want to get a square of all these numbers, and I want to have an updated array out of it. So I can apply a map function over here that is similar to many other programming languages. So for each and every number, I want to multiply it with the same number here. And I want to console this updated number 2 now. Let's see the outcome. Getting in the square of each and every number 1, 2 square 4, 3 square 9, and the 4 square 16. So the map is just modifying the values present in the array. The filter is giving you the filtered one. So like this, there are many other operations that you can perform with the inbuilt functionalities. And even if you want to travel over this particular array, it is simplified with the TypeScript. Let's say I just want to travel on these numbers and just want to print these numbers in a simple fashion. So let me just console it with a quick for here. So it's giving me different syntaxes for each and normal for and everything. The general traditional one, I'll start first of all. So we have the traditional one here for I equals to 0, and then I is less than, I'll say 4, correct? Okay. So I plus plus, I'll just console the number which is present at ith position. So let's see the outcome. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's try to understand if we are trying to access anything beyond the limit. So let's say I'm trying to access the fifth element as well. So in this case, what will happen? We have seen something in other programming language like C, C++, or Java. It could be, it shows a runtime error like you're going beyond the allocated memory or the beyond the allocated area. Let's see in JavaScript what will happen. So I'll just pause for a minute. You can just explore on it what will happen. Perfect. So let's try to see. Yes, we are getting an undefined. So it's a JavaScript at the end, the convert output of the TypeScript. So as we have seen, it is not giving you any error or something. It is just saying you that it's an undefined, that that value I don't have that you are trying to access. So we are trying to access the fifth element which is not present here. It's saying that it's an undefined. I don't know what's the value present over there. It's not giving you any error over here. And if you want to make this particular compilation and this behavior more strict, so we can work around the tsconfig file to have this compilation in a more strict fashion. So when we are trying to access any particular memory area which is not available, so there might be some advanced configuration available in the tsconfig, which will help you to change this compilation behavior. Perfect. So this is one more option to loop. Let's try to explore other option. There is one more option, something called as for each. For each is much simplified as compared to the traditional one, where I can just mention numbers. I want to apply a for each on top of you. And for each and every element, this element is a number. This element is a number. So what you want to do? You just want to console it, right? Let's do that. Apply the complete here. It will give you exactly similar output. The advantage of this particular for each is that you don't need to be much worried about what's the starting index, what's an ending index and everything, and have the memory related issues. We are going beyond the allocated memory and all these things. So there are many other formation for this particular for each and everything that you can use it for the traversal on your array. So feel free to explore that, and we are going to see a few more advanced options with the arrays in the next lecture. Let's start with the missing one in the last lecture. So we were having trouble writing a read only here, and let me just rewrite it. So what mistake we were doing last time? So I was adding here read only for this particular variable here, but we should add the read only here for our data type. So now it's not only the number array, it's the read only number array. This array you can't modify. So let's try to push a value into this. So you can also observe it's not even allowing me to use the push function here. And if I just try to push a value over here, it will not allow me. If I remove this, it will allow me. So hope you understood how the read-only will work with respect to the array. It's time to look into the more advanced things and using the objects with an array so that we can make use of the arrays and object in a more complex fashion. So I'll just remove all of this code. Let me just create a sample object that we have created the last time. And I'll just add very simple properties here for this object. I'll add a salary here for say 1000. Okay, fine. This is my first object, let's say. And I want to create one more employee. Okay, no problem. I'll create one more. This time I'll keep the name Praveen here. And the salary is, let's say, 1500. So I want to create the 100 employees. It means I want to create the 100 objects. Will it be correct to do in this way? employee one, two, three. No, it's not a correct way. Of course, we need to use the arrays for that. So how we generally create an array? Let's revise the syntax part. So this is the way create an array here, right? So of course, when I want to create an array for these employees, how I'll be doing that? So I'll say list of employee. Why I'm giving you here this and small example so that you can compare how this previously we have done and the similar thing we are implementing for an array of object here. So list of employee here, and now I want an array. It is exactly similar. You can just see it's an array. It's an array. Now here, if it was just a number, now here I want to give the objects here. So I just want to give this object here, comma, again, one more object over here. That's it. I'll just remove the above one. So I hope you are able to compare the simple one with the more complex one here. Let me just remove this simple one and a console log for list of employees, and let's confirm in the browser. Yes, I'm getting an array and both objects are very well visible inside my array. Let's try to quickly apply some operations and try to get out the names out of this array. So I want a list of only the names of the employees, a simple string of array I can say. So which function will be useful, either the map or the filter? Yes, of course, the map here will be useful. So let's say I want list of employee names here, and the data type for this will be string array. So on this list of employee, I want to apply a map on each and every object. I want to get the employee name out of it. So finally, it will give me the list of employee name in an array of string format. Let's quickly try to console it. Here we go. Now, I also want to filter out all the employees who are having the salary more than 1200. So one is having the 1,000 and one more is having the 1500. So I want to filter out all the people who are having more than 1200. So I want to apply a filter function here on top of my array. So I'll say uh, list of employee. I'll just give the name of the array as updated here. List of employee dot filter. On each and every object, I want to apply the condition. What should be the condition? The object, what is the salary is present inside that particular object? If this salary is more than 1200 rupees, so I want to apply a filter there. And now I should only get the people who are having the salary more than 1200, only that uh, objects I'll be getting inside this updated array here. Let's see the outcome. So I'm just getting an array which is having a single value inside it, single object inside it, and the object is this one, the employees who is having the 1500 salary. Let's try to also add one more employee here with 1700. So right now I should get the two employees inside this particular filter array. Yes, we are getting it. Right. So this is the way we can combine the objects with the arrays and create the more complex scenarios. Okay, fine. So there is one more option that I would like to introduce with this in arrays, that is the destructuring that we are going to see in the next lecture. What is array destructuring? So for that, let's understand with a quick example here. So generally we mention array in this way. Okay, so this is array which is holding just two numbers. That's absolutely fine. Let's console it. Yeah, perfect. But now, if we want to get these array values inside some separate variables, if there is a need, such kind of that, so the destructuring will help you. So instead of just writing here the array something like this, you can mention n1 comma n2. What is this n1? It is trying to hold the value 1. What is n2? It is trying to hold the value of 2. And now you can use n1 and the n2 as a numbers directly. So let me just console N1 and the N2 here. That's it. You can also combine with some other data types. Let's say I'm giving here the names and here the person one. I can make it person two. Just trying to console. So it makes sense in this case because we want to get it in separately with different variables, the names. Fine. Sure. There are other ways also to define the array. This is something a shorthand way to define an array. Let me just introduce you one more. So generally we define an array in this way, right? You can also make it instead of this. Let me just comment it out so that you can compare it later. I can say new array. This is with a constructor. Of course, it's also creating an array object here in the previous case also, but that in background the TypeScript is doing for you. But and this is what at the end the TypeScript will do in background. And right now this is you are doing. So this is just a shorthand way for our simplification, but in background these things will happen. So this array is created with a constructor. So hope it's pretty clear. We have seen two things here, the array destructuring and the creating an array with a constructor. Next, we'll try to understand the union types. So let's try with a quick example here. So I would just want to store a number here in an variable. So the syntax for that is like we have to compulsory mention like it's a number and it can only store a number here. But what if either I can store here a number or a string? I want to keep both as an optional. Both are the possibilities. So what I can do here, I can just apply a union operator and I can say a string. It means the data type is either the number or string. It can be anything. So if I'm just mentioning here number 10, no problem. Even though if I'm mentioning a string here, no problem. Both are allowed because the data type we have mentioned with the union. So how exactly it will be useful and what will be its benefits? Let's say try to create a function here with the name display and the parameter we are not sure either what data type we are going to get, either string or integer or wait, anything. It could be array, anything it could be. So let's say initially I'm just giving a string here and I just want to console here this param. So the role of this particular function that we created is such a way that whatever the input we are giving, it will just console it on the screen. So let's call this function display and give a parameter ABC. So let's see the outcome now. Okay, fine. We are able to see the output. Let's see the same function now we would like to call with an integer. Will it be possible? No, because it's compulsory accept a string. So if I want to call with a number input here, it's not possible. If I want to do that, I need to apply a union operator here and mention with num string, it also accepts a number. So now both are allowed and both will work very correctly. Fine. Next, we can also make it more complicated. Let's say we can give an array here, we can give anything object also, many more other combinations we can put. Let's say I also want to give in this case true and false here. So right now it's not allowing me because it's saying that either the string or number is only allowed. So if I want to make it a boolean also supportable, I need to make it this way. So this is how the union type will help you to combine the different types together and create a large number of possibilities. So here is a quick question I would like to ask you people now. Let's say I'm passing a string. It's perfectly okay. So along with this particular console, I also want to console the length of this parameter. Will it be possible here? No. Why? Because The length is only applicable when there is a string. But here, apart from string, there is a number, there is a boolean also. So if I remove this, now it will allow me to have the length. I guess I have done some mistake here. Let me just confirm. Yeah, length. But when I'm making it as a number, immediately it is started complaining me length is not an allowed property over a number, because it's not only string, it's also a number here. So how to get rid out of this particular issues and everything. So you can write again manual validation for which data type we are having and forcefully converting that. And then we can use these function with these are the few restrictions will come into picture when we are going to use the union types here. So hope you understood how the union types will work. So enums is a specialized class, we can say, which define a set of constants in that. And let's see how it will be useful with a quick example here. So let me just create a quick enum here, enum, and the name of the enum I want to give, suppose, log level. Okay. And what are the logs I want to put into that? For example, the log is regarding an error. The log is regarding just an information, or it's just a warning, we can say. Okay, so we are creating a log of three different types here, that is error, info, and the warning. So these are just three constants we are creating because we are going to write application which is going to display the different logs and what type of log it is, what's the level of it, it's an error, it's an information, or it's a warning. So we will use this enum to write this particular logic here. I'm going to quickly write a function here. Name of the function will be display log. Very first thing, what's the type of this particular log? Like, what's the level of this? So log level will be my variable, and the data type for this will be this enum. So the log level must be given from this enum itself. The second parameter for this, I'll give the message. What's the message for this particular log? And this will be of type string. Perfect. Sure. So let me just do a quick console here. And with console, firstly, I'll display the, let me just say if, okay, we'll just complete the execution first. Display log. The first parameter should be the log level. This is of type info, for example. Uh, all good. Let's try to see the output. Yes, it's giving an all good. So this is my first parameter. This is my second parameter. So the log level we have given as info, and we are just printing the message here. But here, let's say I want to apply some conditions. What is that? If the log level is equals to the error. So what I'm supposed to do before this particular message, I'm going to say error, and then I'll print my message. Again, I'll do the same thing for the second one. If it's an info, the log type I'll give as info. And for the last also, it's a warning. Okay, sounds good. So for each different types of log, it is prefixing with some label here. It's an error, it's an info, or it's a warning, and then it's printing a message. So let's try to call this multiple times. So let's say this time we're calling it for an error, uh, array index issue log, and here it's a warning, all code path not covered. The sample logs I want to print three different logs. It's a good log, it's a error related log, and it's a warning related log. So if I just go to the output here, so in front of each and every log, very perfectly I'm able to see it's an information log, it's an error log, it's a warning log here. So it will be helpful to communicate the different constants very easily with the use of these enums here. There are many use of enums as well, and different variations of the enums also we can use with string, numeric. Also, we can combine with the string and numeric, and all together combine to have a more complex functionality as well. Let's try to investigate the enums in more detail, what exactly the values it contains in background. So let's say this is a log level we have created. So I just want to randomly console, and I'll just comment out the previous consoles here. And I want to see what exactly the value of this particular error when I'm consoling it. It's giving me 0. Interesting. Let's try to see for others as well. 0, 1, 2. So what we understood with this, so by default in background, it is storing the numbers when we are saying it as a constant 0, 1, 2. So with this sequence, and even if you hover your cursor here, it is giving you 0, 1, 2. So a quick question over here. So if I just make it 6, 10, 15, and I'll just uncomment these functionalities here, is the behavior or the output of this particular program will change, or it will work exactly the similar fashion that previously worked in the last lecture. I'll just give you a minute to think on it. Let's see the outcome. All good info, error, index issue, and all code path not covered with the warning. It's working exactly similar. So it doesn't matter what exactly the constants are given over here, 0, or it could be 1, or it could be 2, whatever it could be, we are giving the constants here. Whenever we are using it, we are just using these constants. We are not using these values at all. Even you can see while passing also, I'm passing the constant, I'm passing the enum. While receiving also, I'm receiving the enum. While comparing also, I'm comparing the enum itself. It doesn't matter what exactly the actual value inside that particular enum. There are other enums also, like which will be more useful, and you can see in the practical usage, like HTTP status, we can say. In HTTP status, for example, there will be bad request. Bad request. For bad request, I guess it's 400. And after that, there is something called as internal server error. For internal server error, there is something called 500. So this will be useful when we want to use in this way, because right now making it 0, 10, or 15 for this error and for something maybe doesn't make sense, but when you're using it practically, it makes sense here, and it will be useful because it is also linked with other functionalities. For example, when we are saying bad request, it is not just bad request, we'll also need this particular 400 value to also communicate with other libraries and everything. And not only something like this, we can just assign an integer to this. We can also assign a string. So enum, let's say directions. I'll just say up. So up, then say down. So hope you have understood now. We can assign any constants values that we need as per our logic. Rest all, everything will be similar. And with this, we have completed the enums. We have seen enums with integer, enums with giving the manual integer values to it, giving the string values to it, using it practically with display log functions here, and many more.